7 o'clock, meeting of the Planning Commission will come to order. Have a oath of office for Ms. White, our new alternate. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Colleen Murphy White, solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution and will obey the laws of the United States and of the state of Florida, City of Jacksonville Beach, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of first alternate in the planning commission. Roll call, please.
David Dahl,
Here.
Martin Moore,
Here.
Brent Sanders,
Here.
Greg Sutton,
Here.
John Scott Walker,
Here.
Colleen M. White,
Here.
Will Spann.
Here. All right, I don't believe we have any past minutes. Any correspondence, Ms. Arlen?
No correspondence, but we did receive just a new version of the concept plat. That is the first item on your agenda, and I left that at your seats for you.
All right, so with that, PC 20-19.
PC 20-19 is a concept plan for plat application. Applicant is DNA Investments Florida LLC, 9799 Mining Drive number 1, Jacksonville, Florida 32257, and the property location is 122 South 9th Street. The request is for concept plan for plat approval for a proposed 6-unit fee simple townhouse development for property located in a residential multifamily RM1 zoning district pursuant to section 34503 of the Jacksonville Beach Land Development Code. The subject property is located on the northwest corner of 9th Street South and 2nd Avenue South and is currently vacant. The applicant is proposing to develop the vacant residential property as a 6-unit fee simple townhouse project. Each of the individual lots shown on the proposed concept plat exceeds the minimum lot size and street frontage requirements for townhouse lots in RM1 zoning districts. Adjacent uses include single-family directly to the west, single and multifamily to the north, single-family, multiple-family, and a church to the east, and single and multifamily to the south. The subdivision of the subject property into 6 fee simple townhouse lots is consistent with similar townhouse developments in RM1 zoning districts.
Just very briefly, Ms. Ireland, what was the modification that we're looking at here?
There's no modification to the proposed new lots. It just took the building footprint out of it, so it was easier for you guys to read.
All right, just very briefly for those in attendance here, the manner in which we conduct these applications is that staff will read the application into the record, as Ms. Ireland has done for this application. We'll have the applicant come forward stating their name and address and answering any questions from the Planning Commission, offering any additional information they may have. At that point, if I have speaker cards, I'll open it up for the public, anyone wishing to speak in favor or in opposition to that particular application. Public portion of the meeting for that application will be closed, and then discussion will be between the applicant, staff, and the commissioners. So with that, if the applicant's present, please step forward, state your name and address.
Good evening. David Pelage, 12480 Arrowleaf Lane, Jacksonville, Florida, 32225.
Is there anything, David, that you wish to add that Ms. Ireland did?
Through the chair,
No,
I'm sorry.
everything she stated is correct.
I need you to raise your right hand and be sworn in by the,
do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
thanks. I'll ask you again, is there anything further?
Everything she stated is correct.
Okay. Questions for the applicant?
So I think we looked at this last year. Has anything changed from last year to this year? What you're proposing?
No, the only thing I wanted to say that last year, the members of the board were discussing the issue of being on the school zone. And this property and the access to the property is not through the school zone. And also another concern they had was that the residents there, once they drive into the driveway on their property, they have to back up into the street. But that's the case with just about every house, you know, in Jacksonville Beach. There nobody has a roundabout in the front. You know, everybody drives in and then backs into the street and goes out.
Okay, but as far as the plan that you have in place, nothing's changed?
No. We are in conforming with all the requirements as far as the setbacks, parking spaces, everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I don't have any speaker cards for this application. Was there anyone that wished to speak in favor or in opposition? All right, seeing none, public portion of the meeting is closed. Discussion, or do I have a motion?
I have a question for Ms. Ireland, through the chair.
Yes.
Can you remind us of the nature of the Jacksonville Housing Authority redevelopment that's going to be happening in not exactly that area, but nearby?
Sure. And I don't know if there's one directly across the street from this property, but I think just to the north off of First Avenue South, there are 7 different properties that the Jacksonville Housing Authority is redeveloping right now. And I believe 6 of them will have 2 buildings with 8 units each, and then another one will have slightly less because they're keeping a couple of their buildings that are newer. But for the most part, all of their properties that consist of a half of a block, either the north or half south of any of their blocks in this area, are going to have 16 new apartments on them with adequate parking and meet the setbacks and all that. Is that what you were looking for?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Through the chair, quick question, sorry, I know that we recently looked at a new proposal to change the LDC from 6 units to 5 units. That has not passed, correct?
No, that did not go through city council, that's correct.
Would you repeat that again, Ms. Ireland, please? The question and the answer?
There was a proposal to limit the number of attached townhomes in RM1 specifically from 6 to 4, and that was not approved by city council. It was part of a larger package of amendments, so it wasn't just that one thing.
Correct. Thank you.
I move approval.
Have a motion to approve. Any discussion?
I still have a question. Apparently this was brought up before I was ever on the commission, and it was, what, sent back, or what's the history behind it?
Are you referring to this application specifically?
Yes.
It came before the planning commission approximately just over a year ago, and it was not approved at that time.
What's the history behind that? What was, you know?
There were concerns about, I believe it was traffic related to the school that's approximately a block away. I don't have that file in front of me. They are eligible to reapply for the same exact thing once a year's time has passed, so that's what they've chosen to do. but I don't have that file on me currently. If anyone else recalls.
My recollection is what the applicant stated was generally accurate for some of the issues that were brought up previously with, you know, the residential area backing into the street, regardless of whether you think that's an issue or not. It was brought up as an issue at the time, and the proximity to the school, general traffic, that type of thing.
Through the chair, if I may just remind you guys of the standards for
Yeah.
reviewing a concept plat, section 345036, which should be in your application, your agenda packets for your consideration.
I still have an open motion to approve on the floor. All right, motion dies for lack of a second. Any discussion? Or do I have another motion?
I'd like to just say that in its conversation we've had before, that I feel that there's a need for a comprehensive look at residential in Jack's Beach. And so, you know, I don't see, based on our criteria, that we should not approve this for that reason, with the caveat that I think we need to be taking a hard look at our comp plan and our regulations, especially as it comes to residential. Just a comment.
I'd say I'd agree with Ms. Mooring, through the chair. I'd agree with Ms. Mooring on the comp plan look and the LDC look, because everybody recognizes the issues that are currently in the mind of the public here in the city.
Question for the applicant, can I ask another question?
Sure.
Can you just, so it looks like the garage, you're still keeping a one-car garage, parking in the driveway. Is that a two-car driveway or single-car driveway?
The length of it, because we have the right of way on our side,
Mhm.
so the length of the driveway will suit 2 cars. But in our property, where we are required to provide for each unit 2 parking, so 1 parking space will be in the garage, 1 will be on the driveway. But technically, they can park 3 cars there.
Mhm. Okay. Are these 20-foot wide? Is that what I'm seeing on the new?
Yes, they are 20 foot wide, the lot size.
Thank you.
You are.
Which exceeds the interior minimum, right?
Correct, the minimum is 15 feet,
And what's the minimum on exterior?
25, and
Okay.
they are showing 30 feet.
I guess before still open for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, a couple things. I'm still certainly concerned. I know that's not a school zone, but that is one of the main entrances to Jackson Beach Elementary, and certainly the safety of cars backing out of the driveway is still top of mind for me. You know, that's the biggest thing that I have. I don't, there's really, if it's 6 units or 4 units, it's still, that's what I'm wrestling with, is still an issue. Every way I look at this, there's no way to fix that, in my opinion, so, from my standpoint, it's still the safety issues that I have.
further discussion, or do I have another motion? Go ahead.
I move approval.
I'll second the motion. Roll call vote, please.
David Dahl,
Yes.
Mark Mooring,
Yes.
Brenton Sanders,
No.
John Scott Walker,
No.
Greg Sutton.
Yes. Okay. Your application's been approved.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Ireland, PC 21-19.
PC 2119 is a conditional use application. Property owner LTI Inc., 1219 Creekview Way, Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, 32082, and the applicant is the Pet Boys, 3111 West Albany Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19132, and the property location is 304 North 3rd Street, which is currently the location of RPM Automotive. And the request is for conditional use approval for the transfer of ownership of an approved automotive repair establishment located in a commercial limited C1 zoning district pursuant to section 34-342 D6 of the Jacksonville Beach Land Development Code. The subject property is currently in use as an auto repair establishment on the northwest corner of 3rd Street North and 2nd Avenue North, and has existed under various ownerships since 1998, and you have the approval letters attached to your packages. The applicant would like to purchase the business from the current proprietor, RPM Automotive. Since conditional use approval is not transferable, the applicant was advised by staff that applying for the conditional use in their name would be required. Adjacent uses include a fraternal lodge to the west, an auto parts store across the alley to the north, a microbrewery to the south, and a mixed-use commercial building across 3rd Street to the east. The character of this mixed-use or mixed commercial area should not be negatively impacted by the continued operation of an existing automobile repair business under new ownership.
If the applicant's present, please step forward, state your name and address.
Good evening. Collie Stowell, 5180 Siesta Del Rio, Jacksonville, Florida.
And if you'll raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. I was the owner of RPM, and we had 10 locations here in Jacksonville, and Icon Automotive, which is Pet Boys, they own several automotive locations, purchased all of my locations, and I'm still working for them, so it's nice to have a job. And they plan on keeping it, as far as I'm aware, they plan on keeping it at RPM. You know, obviously, because I was the founder of RPM, I have a lot of pride in it. And we've been here for roughly 10 years, I guess. And, you know, we take a lot of pride in what we do. So, as far as what they're wanting to just, because it is a different owner, even though they've kept the name and they've kept all the employees and everything is virtually the same, they had to go through. I wasn't even aware that this had to be done. There's several other locations in Jacksonville.
Quick question for the applicant. So I thought it was a Hertz rental car. Is it still a Hertz rental car?
No, we have Hertz at all of the RPM locations. We have Hertz inside to facilitate for our customers' needs and various needs of Hertz, you know, gold customers and whatnot. So all of the locations have a Hertz. It's kind of a subsidiary or a, you know, just a benefit to. My whole model is based on like a dealership. I wanted to have that. You know, we have all master certified technicians, that cleaner, comfortable environment, and Hertz was one of the big drawing cards to my operations.
So it's still an automotive store?
It's automotive repair, yeah, that's the nuts and bolts. They have an office and they have that actual location does quite well for Hertz because of the beach. But all of our locations have those offices and provide Hertz vehicles. But it is automotive repair.
There's actually a Pep Boys right down the street, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
So I guess the RPM name probably makes more sense to,
Well, hopefully,
not that it's particularly relevant here.
yeah. Well, hopefully, obviously I have a lot of pride in it,
Sure.
and they've assured me, but it's theirs. So I mean, what can I say? It's like,
Yeah.
but they've assured me that it's, they like the model, and I will say this, they're having me look for more locations to brand RPM, which is exciting for me. Probably more information than you guys want to hear, but I'm pretty excited about it.
Through the chair, I have a comment for Phil and a question. I hear good stuff about RPM all the time. I don't use your services, but I hear from cohorts that it's exactly what you said. It's the dealership style. It's good service. It's good backup service if you need to come back. So you have a good reputation, and that's probably why you're selling to Pep Boys. And I have one question. Did you meet Manny, Mo, or Jack when you were
No, I haven't met. No, I don't. I think they're some island somewhere enjoying life.
Well, then you can run it and it'll stay good.
Yes, I hope so. But I'm still working, just so yes. They're in an island and I'm working.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I'm just gonna add a comment. You worked on my car, my wife's car, my kid's car. I love the service.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's what I hear all the time.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Is that it? Thank you.
I don't have any, I had a speaker card from him, so I
Yeah.
don't have any other speaker cards. Was there anyone else that wished to speak in favor or in opposition to the application? Seeing none, public portion of the meeting is closed. Discussion or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion is second, roll call vote, please.
Margaret Mooring,
Yes.
Britton Sanders,
Yes.
John Scott Walker,
Yes.
David Dahl,
Yes.
Greg Sutton,
Yes. All right, Ms. Ireland, PC 22-19.
2219 is a conditional use application. Owner is 5 Points LLC, 8650 Old Kings Road, Suite 12, Jacksonville, Florida 32217. And the applicant is Scratch Kitchen, 528 Beach Boulevard, Jacksonville Beach, Florida 32250. And the property location is same as the applicant's. It's the former Jimmy Hula's location. And the request is for conditional use approval for the transfer of approved outdoor restaurant seating for a new restaurant located in a commercial general C2 zoning district pursuant to section 34342D20 of the Jacksonville Beach Land Development Code. The subject property is located on the south side of Beach Boulevard between 5th Street and 6th Street South. The applicant is proposing to open a new restaurant, which is the Scratch Kitchen, in the existing building, most recently occupied by Jimmy Hula's. The building was originally constructed in 1979 as a Wendy's restaurant. The applicant is renovating the existing building and wants to utilize the existing outdoor seating area on the east side of the building and add a small outdoor area on the northwest side. The outdoor seating was originally approved for the previous applicant under PC 16-16 in May of 2016. The applicant was advised by staff that conditional use was not transferable and that they would be required to obtain conditional use approval to use the outdoor seating in the new tenant's name. Adjacent properties include a restaurant directly to the east, commercial uses directly to the south across Cheddar Avenue, a packaged liquor store to the west across 6th Street South, and the city's historical park and commercial uses to the north across Beach Boulevard. The reuse of this recently vacated commercial property for a new restaurant with outdoor seating should complement the neighboring properties and existing commercial establishments. And if I could just point out to you guys, refer you to the site plan, if I can find it. Of the proposed outdoor seating, the existing seating is the larger component, which is, if you had ever been to Jimmy Hula's, where they had that on the east side of the building, and they are proposing to add a little bit more space on the north side. They aren't limited to For outdoor seating, the limit is 25% of the indoor space for square footage. I'm not sure the numbers on this site plan are completely accurate based on our review of the property appraiser's square footage, but I just wanted to let you guys know that we'll be making sure that they meet the requirements for maximum outdoor seating when we get to the building permit portion, and I'd be happy to answer any questions related to that.
25%, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, 25%.
So if these numbers on here were correct, they exceeded on here.
They would. I think that their number, the 2580 square feet for the existing indoor restaurant, is low. I think it is larger than that, and the proposed, seating area where it says 616, the existing, or excuse me, the former Jimmy Hula's was actually less than that. So we just need to go back and verify what's actually there indoors so we can make sure that they meet that 25%.
I'm sure you guys will. If the applicant's present,
Yep.
please step forward, state your name and address.
My name is Ryan Vermey. I live at 261 Ahern Street in Laney Beach, Florida.
Okay, Brian, is there any, if you'll raise your right hand?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Brian, is there anything additional that you'd like to add?
No, I think that covers it. We're just trying to get a transfer of the, previously approved outdoor seating. We did try to get 6 more tables, or seats rather, in the north area, which you pointed out. And just to give a little ambiance, street view.
Questions for the applicant?
Hey Ryan, just a question about what kind of restaurant, we're approving outdoor seating, so just curious what kind of atmosphere it's...
So it's a comfort food base, like a new American cuisine. We're gonna have brunch, dinner.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
If I may, the existing outdoor seating, I looked at the site and I was left somewhat with the impression that what you'd be looking at would be the parking lot. Is that right? So it's about being outdoors as opposed to the view? Is that fair?
Yeah, we're gonna do a little knee wall, with probably some planter box stuff going on. Kind of give you that indoor-outdoor feel, but it'll be open air. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but
Well, I'm always, given how hot it is
Yes.
frequently, I tend to be a person who goes inside to the air conditioning
We'll have that too.
all the time. So, so I'm always looking for, what is the attraction to outdoor. And sometimes it's a street view because, for example, your outdoor seating on Beach Boulevard, lots is happening on Beach Boulevard, there's something to look at.
correct.
But, it's kind of long and narrow on the other side. So I just wondered how you envisaged it working.
So, yeah, street, when you're looking back at the building, we plan to embellish that with some plants and things and make it more of a, indoor-outdoor feel where you're kind of sitting in a garden setting.
Thank you.
Sure.
You know the view of Jimmy John's, so that's not so bad.
We hope to improve on that.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thanks. I don't have any speaker cards for this application. Was there anyone that wished to speak in favor or in opposition? All right, seeing none, public portion of the meeting is closed. Any discussion, or do I have a motion?
I have a motion. A motion we approve in accordance with, the density would be in accordance with 34,343 D14 out of the LDC.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Burton Sanders,
Yes.
John Scott Walker,
Yes.
David Dahl,
Yes.
Mark Mooring,
Yes.
Greg Sem.
Yes. Application's approved. Mr. Dahl, did you have anything you wanted to?
Well, yes, I did. I wanted to put the request on the table. Last time I made just a straight out request like this, I was kind of reprimanded, so it's a respectful request. But if we could get copies of the LDC for the other members, mine's getting ragged, it's fine, I replace the stuff out of the muni code when it changes, but I've found it a useful tool, and it feels like you're bringing something important.
I will happily get you guys new copies. I will try to get it so it's in your packets for the next meeting.
I don't think there's any.
If I can do that. It'll be hand delivered though,
Yeah.
not mail.
We can pick it up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we can pick it up here.
Whatever your
I've just been
preference.
thinking about it for a long time, and I finally remembered it.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep you busy, huh?
Thank you, Heather.
All right, planning department report?
Our next meeting is Monday, July 22nd. We have 4 cases on that agenda. Denise, are we revisiting short-term rentals at that meeting? Do you confirm that?
Yes, we are. Denise May, your interim city attorney. The short-term rental ordinance, if you did happen to see the city council meeting, will be revised somewhat, and we'll come back to you for your recommendation onto the city council, be that positive or negative. But you can probably expect public input in a long meeting.
Mr. Chair, would you mind if I just asked her for a quick summary of what happened at that meeting, since some of us weren't able to attend? Just, I mean, like a 30-second.
I will make it quick, and I'll hope not to leave anything out, although I'm sure I will, because there was a very long meeting, a lot of good input on both sides of the equation. As it comes down to it, my direction, as I see it, is still that there will be a registration process, although some of the requirements will change. Some of them may be removed, some of them may be lightened, and rather than seeing the list of what is required by Florida Fire Prevention Code and Florida Building Code, even though it remains required, will be shortened to a simple statement of maybe that there will be an affidavit or oath on your application that you will always remain in compliance with the Florida Fire Prevention Code and the Florida Building Code. I think max occupancy definition has changed to 2 per bedroom, plus I think 1 per 150. Don't hold me to this, I've got to go back and look at the notes, but I think it was more akin to 2 per bedroom, maybe 2 plus, and 2 in a common room, or a calculation per 150 square feet, whichever was less. With the max occupancy. So it changed a little from bathrooms to bedrooms. So hopefully it gave some more leeway to those 2-bedroom one-bath homes that we were talking about out there that were potentially problematic. I think you'll still see registration. You're still going to see license fees, although that's going to be changed and reduced to an ability to get collective licensing so that agents for certain properties, if they carry 50 of them, can come and do that in one fell swoop. Some other small things, I think, but those are your major big items.
Did the topic of enforcement and how the city's going to actually do this, because I'm understanding that no additional staff is going to be hired, the COJ is not helping.
It won't be necessary. Again, with our application process, what we ask them to bring is what they're already required to show to the state. So it's not new requirements that the city's asking. If you're in compliance with the state, just bring us a proof. Because if you're going to be a vacation rental, you have to have certain things for the state. You bring us that. As far as compliance with other issues, we did talk about initial inspections. That's another thing that may change. Instead of having them every 3 years, it will probably be just upon a change of ownership or upon major modification. That being defined as something that adds occupancy to have to be. So it's an initial inspection, and our fire marshal did speak to, there's going to be an initial rush. We're giving them 6 months or so to come in to full compliance with getting these applications and getting their certificate. 6 months is plenty of time, he thought, to get what was going to be necessary.
And the internal and external renderings were still?
I think those will be removed.
Okay.
Those will be removed. Again, small things like that, which I never saw as a big thing anyway, so it was onerous, so that's going to be one thing that's removed. I mean, again, it is about compliance. It is about getting them to register. It is about just making sure that you're registered correctly with the state, you're registered correctly with Duval County, and show us that and let us know where you're at so we can keep up with you. Code enforcement and special magistrate is the other enforcement mechanism. To answer your question.
I just had a quick question. So as far as, let's talk about the bad apples for a minute.
Sure.
They get registered, they get reprimanded. how do we revoke their license? And you said they could come in and get 50 units under one license, is that right?
Well, that's if you have an agent, so it's just like you have agents that come before you as a planning commission that represent other applicants. So owners don't have to individually come do it. They most of the time do have a property manager. The good ones have property managers that are handling properties, and these property managers' businesses are built on managing multiples. And so that they can continue to manage the business as they have been. Individual actors, and they're out there, are going to have to individually come in, and sometimes they own more than one. But we'll know who they are. The 24/7 responsible party is still going to be there. That can be their property agent, and it would make sense that it would be if you've got a long-time property agent, just so that we have somebody to contact. Most of the lease requirements probably are going to be pared down. Again, I think we're going to put together some training materials. I'm going to make some things available to the public as they start to register. Like we have created, Heather and I have worked on some forms already, so we have some offered up language for your leases. Again, take it, use what you want, don't. It's not mandated. It's to help. Postings, we still want those postings. I've heard that life safety issues with, what was wrong with posting where the hospital is. We have a sample posting. Take it, modify it, use what you want. So training materials try to help, to try and get them into compliance and not make it seem as onerous as all that. That makes sense.
Mr. Tall?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When will we see the language? Because we need to study it, because that was a bugaboo at the last meeting. Too big, can't read it all, don't understand it. Why are you putting all this stuff in here? While the whereas is blah, 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 a million excuses. So we're gonna need to see this document at least a week ahead of time. I will anyway, before I can do it, because I have another
agree.
job, and I will need some time.
Yeah, I would like to see it Monday or Tuesday if we can do that.
Yes, it's just all upon this. They looked at me and said, so when are you going to have this done? And that was just a week ago. So I apologize. This is just all on me to get it done. And my goal is to have that to you by July 15th, which is 1 week before your meeting. So that's my goal. I'm doing
I'm out of town that whole week.
the 15th to the 20th.
So my,
You want to take this as vacation reading material?
Not like you're doing anything else.
I'm out of town for the meeting, I'm sorry.
On the 22nd?
Yes.
Okay, I can either email it to you, upload it on the FTP site, and I'll get it to you guys as soon as I get it from Denise, so let me know your preference of getting that ahead of time.
And we'll certainly be making it available. We want the public to have it a week in advance too.
And
We
it'll
don't
be
want
on
to
the
surprise
website.
anybody with this.
Email would be great.
Okay.
And where's the enforcement for the state strictures?
For the state?
Yes, inspection and enforcement.
Right, so we'll have what's called an initial inspection. That for the inspection portion of ours will still stay the same. It'll be a little less onerous in that we won't have every 3 years, but we'll have an initial inspection, and upon change of ownership and upon major modifications. Those are 2 state life safety codes and building codes. Anything else is going to be on complaint. Okay. And as for the state requirements, we're really just asking them to bring as a part of your certificate registration is to bring me copies of your Department of Revenue certificate, copies of your DDPR certificate, and your county business tax. That shows me you've registered with all appropriate people out there. And then it's up to them to do the enforcement on that. I'm not going to get into their taxes. I've had some back and forth on, we don't need to get a Department of Revenue sales tax certificate. Airbnb does that for us, or VRBO does that for us, and they may, but the sales tax certificate that they issue to that property is still yours. Whether Airbnb did it for you or not, you need to get a copy of it. And there's some confusion on that because people who have been doing this for a while haven't paid attention.
All agent.
And, they've been told, you don't need a department, you don't need a certificate, and they took that to mean they don't need a certificate. It's not that they don't need one. Airbnb had already got one for them, so you don't need 2 certificates for one property. But there is a Department of Revenue tax certificate for each individual property.
Certified copy work,
Right.
so the agent can keep it.
They can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just need a copy of it. All I need is a copy. You're registered.
Okay, one more question. What is the enforcement mechanism for the 24/7 phone number?
Well, if we find that you're not in compliance with any portion, we're going to give you, it's going to be code enforcement under Chapter 162, which is full on, first it's a notice of violation and come into compliance, because what this is about. It's not punitive, it's about being compliant. So we always give them time to come into compliance. If you failed to have your 24/7 person changed, or their number changed, or something, and you didn't keep us up to date, we would call that a violation and come into compliance. If you don't come into compliance, then there's a notice of a hearing. The hearing is before the special magistrate, and we keep it under 162, and there was talk about why and do, where can you actually penalize them? In Chapter 162, you have fines set out by statute, $250 per day, $500 per day for repeat violations, or $5,000 for what's found to be irreparable or irreversible. Those fines then can become liens on the property. 162 allows us to lien the property for those fines. Any other mechanism of just plain fines, the problem is collection. How do you enforce it?
Right.
Which is why we're using Chapter 162, which allows us to lien properties.
And how would that complaint come to your attention or to the city's attention?
It's always complaint driven, as any code enforcement action is. A guest could call it in. If, they said, I was in this rat trap, and we would take those and we would investigate.
What will happen is the neighbor that's unhappy with the activity in the short-term rental will call the police. They'll call the number and they'll say they'll call one of those two places.
Right.
And it's likely that they won't get we heard reports that there were many times when they didn't get the 24/7 number. It's a recording, and I've lived that one myself.
Right. Yeah, because for certain violations, let's say it's a noise ordinance, that's probably going to be one of your big hitters. You do need the police to come out. We do have a noise ordinance. We do need to prove that they were indeed in violation of noise ordinance. So police do have to respond and take decibel readings. Because if we're going to take this to special magistrate, we can take it from police reports, as we've had 3 different reports. This is the same way we do with alcohol businesses right now. If we get these complaints, we can take it through, but we do need the evidence from the police.
Mr. Chair, how many code enforcement, I'm sorry, sir, are you done?
I have one more.
Go ahead, please.
I do want to say we're getting into some fairly lengthy discussion here. I'd like to have this come up next week as well.
In front of the public, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'll be happy to ask all these questions again.
I have
How
one
many,
more before.
go ahead, please.
Has there been any use of the LDC nuisance code?
No, that's usually used for abatement. It's not written, currently what we have within the nuisance code is written fairly statutorily for straight up abatement of nuisance. These are not nuisances and we can't call them that. These vacation rentals are defined by statute, and we can't use our code to prohibit them in some way. And I would be hesitant to recommend. I recommend we get whatever regulation that the council and the city is okay with as a whole and start enforcing down 162. I think it's your best legal remedy.
Thank you. I'm finished. Thanks.
And last question and comment, I promise. How many code enforcement people are on staff here?
We currently have 1 officer.
Because my gut feeling is that we are making a very extremely well thought out, well planned, well written, completely unenforceable ordinance.
I don't know that it's unenforceable. If it becomes such that, there's a demand on staff, then staff will make certain budgetary requirements or certain budgetary improvements in order to add staff as needed. They currently do it with alcohol ordinance, and we do it with the help of the police. It's not just going to be our 1 code enforcement staff. Your police are responding to parking, to noise.
Had a noise complaint next door, and within minutes, 6 officers were there. It was crazy. I mean, boom.
It's really the officers who are trained on those decibel readers anyway, so they have to respond in those situations. So it's not just your 1 code enforcement officer. It's a team. It's your building official and your fire marshal for those particular issues. It's going to be your code enforcement officer and your police force. And they'll respond to certain nuisance requests, and they'll take reports, and those get used as evidence. So it's really hopeful that we don't have to do a lot of enforcement. The goal is not to have to. That there are a few that might need some correction up front, and that it becomes not an ongoing thing. That really is the goal, is to bring people into compliance. And I think that once the initial hump is passed and people come into compliance, that we may not see as many code enforcement issues. You're gonna have neighbors who like to complain. That happens with grass too. I mean, it just, sometimes that happens.